Satellite navigation is one method of finding your way around the hills. There are other methods. They're outlined in my Finding Your Way Around the Hills video. Satellite navigation is often commonly known as GPS. However, the term GPS is actually the name of one of several different satellite systems. You may be used to using GPS in your car or when walking around city streets, but using it in the hills is very different. You'll have to learn techniques that are very different to those used in the car, and to use different apps and different maps. Furthermore, depending on the type of walking you do, you may have to buy a specialized GPS device designed for use in mountains and similar rugged environments. Apps and devices vary. This video only covers broad principles. If you need detailed advice that's specific to your particular app or device, you'll have to look elsewhere. This gadget and others like it are designed for one task, namely satellite navigation in mountains and similar rugged environments. Smartphones can also do navigation. However, in a way, they're jack of all trades but master of none. To distinguish this type of gadget from smartphones, I'll call them dedicated GPS devices. They're ideal for navigating in the mountains. The problem is that good ones cost hundreds of euros. You may therefore wonder whether you could get away with using your smartphone instead. Well, the answer is that it depends. It depends on the type of walking you plan to do, and it also depends to a lesser extent on the type of smartphone you have. Let me explain. Long periods of challenging GPS navigation can place heavy demands on your device's battery. On a bad day in the hills, your phone or device can be subject to torrential rain driven by gale force winds. It might also end up sitting in a pool of water in the pocket of your waterproofs or the bottom of your rucksack. Many phones simply aren't waterproof enough for that sort of treatment. The sort of dedicated GPS devices used in the hills, on the other hand, are designed specifically to handle long days and harsh environments. They're generally also better at handling falls and bangs than phones. Imagine you're relying totally on your phone as your only method of navigating through awful weather. Then your battery dies, or dampness stops the phone from working. You could easily end up totally lost. And if you did, you couldn't use your phone to call for help. That would be particularly dangerous if you're alone, by the way. So my advice, therefore, is as follows. If you plan to rely primarily on GPS for navigation purposes, and to do so on long walks in areas where getting lost would be dangerous, I strongly recommend that you buy a dedicated GPS device. If, however, you plan to stick to less challenging routes and conditions, a phone would probably be okay. A phone would also be okay if you're planning to navigate mainly by paper maps or mainly by following signposts and only intend to use GPS occasionally as an extra help. If you plan to rely on GPS while walking alone, carrying both a dedicated GPS device and a smartphone could save your bacon if one of the devices failed. If you plan to do the sort of walks where you really should use a dedicated device, but can't or don't want to buy one, the following precautions could help somewhat. Keep your phone in a waterproof pouch. Bring a battery power bank and a compass. Next time you upgrade your phone, consider buying one that's a bit more waterproof than your current model. There is a system for rating how waterproof devices are. You may find it helpful when selecting a GPS device or when changing your phone. You should be able to go online and find specifications for the phone or device that include something like the following. A phone that's rated, for example, IP67 should have the exact same water resistance as a dedicated GPS device with the same rating. You can Google the meaning of each of these ratings. Note, however, that an IP68 rating is slightly more complex. To accurately compare two devices with that rating, you need to look at the small print for each device. When deciding whether to buy a GPS device or to make do with your existing smartphone, it's an idea to check out the IP rating of your phone. Do be aware, however, that an old phone may be a lot less waterproof than its rating would suggest. This is especially true if the screen is cracked or if it's been opened, for example, to replace a battery. If you plan to use your phone for mountain navigation, first download a proper mountain navigation app. Don't rely on Google Maps or Apple Maps.
Instead, use an app designed specifically for hill walking and similar off-road activities. Typically, you can download such apps for free, but pay extra for things like access to better maps or better features. Make sure whatever app you get allows you to download maps before your walk so that you can navigate even in areas with no internet access. I used to recommend an app called View Ranger, but it has closed down. I'm now trialing one called Outdoor Active, but I don't yet know whether I recommend it. I gather one of the paid versions of the Hiker app probably has the best Irish maps.
Always download maps before walking, as mountains often have no internet connection. Dedicated GPS devices typically come preloaded with a certain number of maps, and you can buy more, but those extra maps can be very expensive. Different maps work with different apps and devices. It depends on which map publisher currently has partnerships with which app or device company. To make life difficult for the unfortunate GPS navigator, these companies change their partners from time to time. As a result, at present, you can't get suitable Irish maps for some of the most popular GPS devices. If buying a dedicated GPS device, it's therefore very important to think about the question of maps beforehand. Firstly, consider where you're likely to want to walk. Then check out what maps come included with the various different GPS devices. If you're likely to need extra maps, investigate the availability and price of such extra maps, and of course, extra maps that are compatible with your device. Because the situation keeps changing, make sure to get the most up-to-date possible information before buying. This video has hopefully covered all the key points you need to know about choosing GPS devices, apps and maps for use in the hills. However, not only do you need to use very different GPS things in the hills than in normal life, you also need to use them in a very different way. That's why I've published a video about GPS techniques in the hills. I'll finish with some of the key points from the video you've just been watching.